One of the key concerns India has been raising for a long time is Chinese influence and the security issues. And you said both Sri Lanka and India will be focusing on mutual security issues in the future. Was that Chinese issue focused?
The Chinese issue was not specifically mentioned, but basically what both sides agreed that the Indian Ocean should remain a peaceful region, and both Sri Lanka and India should be sensitive to each other's legitimate security concerns.
You mentioned that connectivity was a key area of discussion. You mentioned the air connectivity, the increase in the daily the flights connecting Palali and Chennai. You also mentioned about the ferry services. You mentioned that the President had also proposed something about the land bridge, the land connectivity and modalities, feasibility to be studied into. What exactly was President proposing in this regard?
So basically, on the long run, in order to now, first step of the connectivity is, we all know, air connectivity. Then the next step is ferry. Prime Minister Modi was very keen on having the cruise tourism among Sri Lankans and Indians and in the region. The next step is whether on-port and off-port a kind of connectivity where you get your vehicles, a ferry will take you through and you come and go. Or you really want to build a bridge. So it's at the initial stage. So if the bridges are built, then it be a part of a international border. So you will have connectivity through. So we see a huge opportunity in the southern Indian region is developing very fast. With that, people are traveling. There is a lot of opportunity. For example, if you look at Singapore and Malaysia, the tourist who comes to Singapore are from Malaysia. So likewise, there is an opportunity. But this is only a proposal. It will take time. The experts will study about it, submit a report probably. After that, both Sri Lankan Parliament and the Indians will have to decide on that, whether it is worth to go ahead with it, whether the economic benefits are sufficient or prudent for us to embark on such a endeavor. But it's an idea. That's how it's all conceived. You start it slow, and then you study that, and finally you decide where do you want to go. That's what President suggested.
Foreign Minister, one more follow-up question with regard to the tourism is that you mentioned about digital connectivity, and as we are already aware that Indian rupee has already been designated currency here in Sri Lanka. Now on the ground, what exactly is the likely timeline that an Indian tourist will come and will be able to spend his Indian rupee and it will be readily accepted by a local trader here or any supermarket here, and associated UPI also to be linked with this?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question. Discussions were centered around that, how to kind of hasten it, fasten it. Hopefully, we feel that the UPI process will take another 3 months or so. And toward the end of the year, if we can have that position, that would be ideal. And there was some misnomer about the whole thing. This is not we are forcing anybody to forcefully deal with the Indian currency, taking everything out of it. So you can continue to work with the currencies you are working anyway. But Indian currency will also be designated as a designated currency. So now what happens is, India, if an Indian want to come, if only dollar is accepted, he has to take his rupee, go to convert to dollar, then he come to Sri Lanka, convert to Sri Lankan rupee, and then he comes back again, and he has Sri Lankan rupees, he had nothing to do. He had to again convert it to dollars, then he had to go to his country again, convert it to Indian. So it totally doesn't make sense. Banks and the third parties are making money. So this is happening all over the world now. People are looking at dealing with their own currencies. So this is a very positive thing, we feel. You can't compare this with Russian thing, because they have spent so much of money in the Russians, and Russians have nothing to do with the dollars. In our case, the other way around. We import so much. So any amount of Indian currency coming into the country is beneficial for Sri Lanka, rather than we taking that into dollars and then transfer that into Indian rupee and then send it to them. So it's good. It's good. Sri Lanka's advantage because we have a trade imbalance in favor of India. So more Indian currency is coming into us. We can settle that Indian currency in Indian currency without converting into dollar and then to Indian currency. It's good for Sri Lanka. So I saw a misleading article about this, that this is going to be harmful for us and we must learn from the Russian experience. No, Russian experience is different to Sri Lankan experience. Russian experience, Russia exports so much of crude. They have so much of Indian rupee. They have nothing to do with the Indian rupee. Our case is the other way around. We import so much of Indian goods. We need more and more Indian currency. So more Indian people coming here, spending on the Indian currency is good for us to settle the Indian trade.